I kind of retired from commercials in the latter part of the 80s, you know, and then I was not doing anything much, and so I got a call to go into town from Dobbs Ferry and meet with some people who were having a show that they were going to be doing, and they were looking for people that could do work on it. And I was part of that group that was called downtown, and as it turned out, the show was a half-hour show called Doug, which was very popular at the time. And I was in at the very outset of it, you know, the onset. And I worked there for about, I guess, 5 years. I was a good shader, so they would always ask me to do, you know, like if they had a scene that needed to be done in dimension, like with the shading on it, they'd ask me to do it, because I was pretty good at it. During that time, what was very interesting about that was that it was just about that same time that Walt Disney took over the station that we were doing this work for. It was Channel 7 in the city, ABC. And then it was called the Walt Disney Channel. So I wound up finally working for Walt Disney. I started off in animation working with Walt Disney people, and I wound up working for the company itself at the end, which was, I thought, interesting. When I was working at Jumbo doing Doug, Howard Hoffman met someone that was associated with NBC, and they had this project that they wanted to do. They wanted to have a moon designed for a logo that they were going to use on their program. And Howard, you know, wanted me to design it. So we worked together, and I did design this moon that eventually wound up being on NBC.
For years.
So, you know, it ran for 10 years, the logo. So I would, every night when we'd watch the news, there would be my moon being shown, you know, before the Jay Leno show. You know, and so that was a very successful venture.
My name is Meryl Rosner, and I'm a freelance illustrator, having spent most of my career, even ongoing, in the field of animation and live-action filmmaking. In the 1990s, when animated film sort of exploded on the New York scene in a new kind of way, from being a little more West Coast based, and suddenly a bunch of artists from everywhere that could get to Manhattan to see the producer raced in with anything they could show in their portfolios. So that's where I met Ray, amongst other people. I met Ray Favata. So when Ray came along, we knew that for many people it was the beginning of a career. For Ray, it was a career in which he was continuing after having very great successes. So he came in as pretty much the sort of big macha god, sort of very experienced guy, whatever you want to call it. And we'd sort of leave a little extra space around his table, and he'd come in, and we'd just see the back of him for hours, because he was just moving along, and after he'd move away from the table, and there'd be these great characters left on the page. Really wonderful, very unique things that when you look at, you'd say that was done by Ray.